This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Big trade in the state of Ohio, and a big game in the state of Ohio, too, next. Number 1, Ohio State at number 17, Illinois, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Look at that transition right there, Dalton. You like that?
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was solid stuff.
Storyline to watch in this game. This is Ohio State's toughest road test of the year so far. Ohio State won the national title, obviously, last year, and they look well-positioned to defend their title this year right now. They're the number 1 team in the country. They lead the nation on defense with only 5 points allowed per game. Only 5 points per game allowed by Ohio State. And the offense has the 4th best PFF grade on the season at 91.4. They look to prove their status as a top team in the country once again this week as they go on the road against a top 20 team in Illinois. The Fighting Illini are 5-1 on the year and have legitimate college football playoff aspirations, and obviously a win over the number 1 team in the country in Ohio State would go a long, long way for Illinois to potentially make the playoff this year.
All of a sudden, and I know you're not going to want me to harp on this too long, but all of a sudden with that Penn State loss to UCLA and their upcoming schedule and the possibility that they could be knocked out of this thing when nobody expected them to be, the back door is kind of open in the Big Ten right now. Let's say they're going to get 4 teams into the playoff, right? And we don't know that Indiana is going to either maybe beat Oregon or they still have to play Penn State themselves, in Happy Valley. But you look at that last, that second tier when we talk about Illinois or USC and Michigan playing each other this week, or maybe Nebraska can recover, right? You look at something like that and the way that Penn State possibly is in a very precarious position, and you go, oh, if Illinois were to pull this upset or even keep it tight and then win out the rest of the way and get to 10 wins, you see this as a possibility now. Whereas before, I think we still kind of felt like the 4 best teams were pretty clear in Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State. Now that Penn State's potentially knocked out of that, Illinois, again, those other teams, they got some opportunities. And there's another huge game later in the night that we're going to talk about, with USC and Michigan. I think those are 2 teams also eyeing a spot possibly like that. But this is a big opportunity for Illinois to see if they can prove themselves, at least to keep it close against maybe the best team in the country. And if they could ever find a way to win, you turn college football upside down again.
So you have the best team in the country's offense with, you said last week, potentially the best quarterback in the country in Julian Sayin, who has been deadly accurate for Ohio State this year against the Illinois defense. Dalton, what should we know about that matchup?
So, look, they're going to send pressure, and they're not. It's not all that creative. It's a lot of 5-man rush and cover one. We've talked about Illinois is one of the heaviest man coverage teams in the country. They're also one of the heaviest blitzing teams in the country with that 5-man rush. 21st in pass blitz rate this season. First, when they blitz in pass rush grade, tops in the country, 9th in pass rush win rate, and they have the 10th most sacks in the country when they are blitzing opposing quarterbacks. So that's what you're going to get in big moments in this game. Julian Sayin is going to see pressure. He's going to know where it's coming from because it's pretty standard, this 5-man pressure that Illinois brings, but he knows what's coming, and he knows Illinois is bringing pressure. He's going to have to get the ball out of his hand quickly. Now, the good news for Ohio State, guess who the highest graded passer in the country against the blitz is?
Is it Julian Sand?
It's Julian Sand with a 92.2 passing grade, completing 78% of his passes against the blitz. So when you look at this matchup, I do think there's a heavy amount of this, especially if Illinois does not get pressure and Ohio State picks up these 5-man rushes and Sand gets the ball out of his hands. I think Illinois then has a major problem because they have actually very quietly struggled in coverage this year, especially without Xavier Scott in the lineup. Illinois right now, the 14th worst coverage grade in the country. They've had some injuries on the back end against Xavier Scott in the slot being out. That really hurts them. You saw that against USC. They had no answer from Mekhi Lemon, and I'll be honest, Mekhi Lemon's great, but if you don't have an answer from Mekhi Lemon, boy, that's Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate there on the outside, too, along with Max Clare at tight end, Brandon Innes in the slot, all of that stuff. So I think that's what it comes down to is Illinois. I think they're going to stay aggressive. They're going to continue to blitz as much as they have all year. If they can get the pressure on Sand, then they stand a chance. If Ohio State picks it up or Sand just keeps throwing over the blitz as well as he has, then Ohio State is at a serious advantage because their receivers have been winning, and right now Illinois' cornerbacks have not been winning the battle as often as we're used to.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking at a very similar matchup on my side of the ball too with Illinois. Can Luke Altmyer find quick answers against Ohio State's defense? Because, listen, offensive lines, Dalton, are inherently meant to protect quarterbacks. But in some of Illinois' biggest games this year, Luke Altmyer has been protecting his offensive line. In their 45-19 win over Duke in Week 2, Illinois only had a 40.2 pass blocking grade. But Luke Altmyer did a great job of mitigating those struggles because he got rid of the football really quickly, averaging 2.37 seconds average time to throw in that game. In Illinois, later on, a couple weeks ago against USC, they averaged 0.690 EPA per pass in their 34-32 win over number 21 USC. That's the best ever in terms of EPA per pass for Illinois in the PFF college era. In that game, Luke Altmyer got rid of the ball at a blistering 2.26 second average. But the week before that win over USC, Illinois was embarrassed by number 19 Indiana by a 63-10 final score. The Fighting Illini averaged only negative 0.507 EPA per pass in that game. That's their worst mark since the 2021 season. Luke Altmyer was sacked 7 times in that game and only had a 38.1 passing grade, while Illinois allowed over 50% pressure rate in that loss too. And Dalton, in that game, Luke Altmyer's average time to throw was 2.85 seconds. So he held on to it for much longer than he did against Duke and against USC. He and the Fighting Illini's receiving core will need to find quick answers against an Ohio State defense that right now is 9th in the country in EPA per pass and 9th in the country in pressure rate at over 41% this year. That's no easy task, though, because right now the Buckeyes have stars in their secondary, namely Caleb Downs, who could be a top 5 pick in this upcoming NFL draft, and they're among the top 20 teams in the country in terms of coverage grade. On throws at or under 2.5 seconds, Ohio State has an 83.8 coverage grade and is 24th in the nation in terms of EPA per play. So Luke Altmyer has got to get rid of the football quickly, but that's easier said than done, though, because Ohio State's secondary is absolutely lights out right now, and they won't make it easy for him to hit Hank Beatty or anyone else on that receiving core because they're going to play a lot of tight coverage.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Illinois has some good options to go to. You talk about Hank Beatty's been one of the highest graded receivers in the country this year. Colin Dixon's been good. Hudson Clement's another good option. I think what you're going to get is another example from Matt Patricia about maybe trying to confuse Altmyer and make him hold the ball a little bit longer. Maybe some simulated pressures, maybe some zone blitzes that rotate things around. I think some similar concepts to what we saw him use in Week 1 against Texas and Arch Manning. Just make him hold the ball a beat longer, make him understand that the pressure's coming from a different direction that he might think. So I think there is an element to preventing Altmyer from getting rid of the ball so quickly and being so decisive from Matt Patricia if he can make it difficult for him to see the coverages. But no, it certainly is a challenge every week when Illinois, when we've known them to have struggles in pass protection in big spots, that's going to be a big thing. And if Ohio State does decide to just rush forward the entire game, then you still have to deal with and block Caden Curry and those guys up front. It's a very good unit, still a unit that I think is better than we thought they would be coming into the year considering the talent they've lost. So I think it's a fun matchup for sure, and Altmyer is going to have to play an A-plus game again to win this one.
Absolutely. So ultimately, Dalton, will Ohio State continue to prove why they're the number one team in the country right now, or will Illinois get a huge upset at home?
I think they will. I mean, I know they haven't given up double-digit points in a game yet, but I do think Illinois has a better chance than probably most of the other teams. Probably the best offense that Ohio State's played so far. Minnesota's been a little one-dimensional. Texas obviously is still struggling offensively. I've got Ohio State 34-16 even on the road. I just think it's too much. I think Matt Patricia's been calling great defenses. Brian Hartline's been doing a great job of developing Julian Sayin in this offense. And I think at the end of the day, Illinois struggles in coverage in the moments when Sayin does have clean pockets. And if he has a lot of them, it could be a real problem. He's just been so darn accurate, and these receivers are way too good to play some plethora of man coverage against. 34-16 Ohio State. I think Illinois can give him a fight, especially if Altmaier does play his A game, but Ohio State's just got too much talent.
Yeah, I've got Ohio State winning as well, 31-17. They will give up their most points they've allowed all year, which is crazy considering Illinois won't even score 20 points for either of us in this game. But yeah, Ohio State's just still going to win this game. And they pull off the road win and show why they're the favorite to repeat as national champions right now. I just don't know how Illinois' offense is going to score 20-plus points, I think, on Ohio State. And Ohio State's offense with Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, too, they have been unstoppable, looks like, so far, too. So I have Ohio State winning 31-17 over Illinois.